Hello and welcome to the Box Score Network instant reaction breaking news segment of the week with Simon and Ben, Dumber Dubber, He-Man, Masters of the Universe, whatever stuff Ben said just before we hit record. Uh, Ben and I are here breaking news. We are reacting to a trade, another trade. Ben, the trades are a frenzy this week. You and I aren't doing a weekly NFL show anymore. There's lots of stuff to talk about, but we are just going to focus on what came across the wire here at I don't know, 10:13 p.m. Eastern time,
Yeah.
about 30 minutes before you and I were set to record the Simon and Friends podcast episode this week. The Jacksonville Jaguars and Cleveland Browns are making another trade in this calendar year for a cornerback, but it has nothing to do with Travis Hunter, or maybe it will. We'll talk about it. Jaguars are getting Greg Newsome and a 2026 sixth round pick from the Cleveland Browns for Tyson Campbell and a 2026 seventh round pick that is actually coming from the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, so the Jaguars beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football, and 48 hours later trade their number one corner. Ben, you and we spent about 15 minutes trying to sort it all through, but what are your instant reactions before we really dive deep?
My first reaction was, why is Jacksonville doing this? I have no clue. We'll dive into it. My second reaction was, well, why is Cleveland do it? But it doesn't matter. Cleveland's Cleveland. They don't need a reason for why they do anything. So that was my two instant reactions.
All right, a little bit further then, a step further. How did you? Let's do this. Who was this immediately more interesting for you? It sounds like maybe Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, yes, because at first I didn't understand it. I think after
Mm,
you and I talked over for a few minutes, it started to make more sense. But Jacksonville's the one that's 4-1, and you mentioned they just come off of a fresh win against the Chiefs. You would think you wouldn't want to interrupt the mojo, right?
right.
Why interrupt anything at all? That was my reaction. And then, on surface level, the talent levels of these two players didn't seem like it was overly all that far off. So you've got Tyson Campbell locked up money wise.
Right.
It's already part of the cap scope. So, what motivated that for Jacksonville? To me, that was the most interesting part, especially being 4-1.
Yeah, so you mentioned it, the money thing. It took me a few steps to get there in my head before we started talking, but Tyson Campbell got a contract extension in 2024. Meanwhile, Greg Newsome is playing on the fifth year option. Both guys were drafted in 2021, just 7 picks apart. Newsome was the 26th overall pick by Cleveland that year. Campbell was the 33rd overall pick by Jacksonville, and both guys have played relatively well. Tyson Campbell has had a few more ups and downs because of some injuries,
Mhm.
but is generally regarded as when he's healthy a top, I don't know, above average, let's say above average, pretty good, top 10, 12
Yeah.
outside corner. Greg Newsome, for I guess 3 years, his middle 3 years there with Cleveland, was a really good slot corner. I thought he was going to get an extent. I wanted the Cleveland Browns to give him an extension this offseason as highest paid slot corner, like lock that down before, I don't know, something crazy happens and you have to play him outside in 2025 and then pay. Whoopsie daisy. Martin Emerson goes down. Newsome's been playing outside all year long. This feels like from Cleveland's side, it's Newsome's about to get a contract that we don't want to pay, right? So meanwhile, Campbell, the contract, he signed a $76.5 million 4 year extension in 2024. So his cap hit next year is going to be, or would have been 10.5 mil. It looks like it's going to be probably just a little under that, 13 to 13 and a half for next year without the signing bonus being necessary for Cleveland to pay. But it's not anything that they're going to get out of. So Cleveland's essentially wanted Tyson and his contract at least for 2026. What this felt like to me from Cleveland's side is our cap is a mess. Newsome is good. He's playing outside corner. He's going to get priced out. We're getting a cost controlled, good corner who has his ups and downs, but he's going to be our number two with Ward on the other side. And we could just move on. But yeah, Jacksonville, man, so weird. They can't stop adding slot corners. It's a little bit like Green Bay. And Peyton and I have done videos on Green Bay and on Jacksonville trying to sort out what's going to happen. Obviously, Travis Hunter is a big X factor in this, like where all these guys are going to play. Um, but for Jacksonville, do you think, and this is stuff we talk like, is it a scheme? Is it a like, do they want to move Newsome around as they move Hunter around since he can play both? Is it a they don't want to pay anybody that money and they're just going to let him walk? Like, where do you lean on that kind of like, what do you think Jacksonville thinks of Greg Newsome specifically?
This is all reaction. So if you're in the
Yes.
audience here and you've got some brilliant insight, feel free to drop it in on the comments here. Okay. But yeah, when I look at this Jacksonville side of it and I'm trying to figure out why, Campbell hasn't been playing the greatest this year. I know that. Still, though, the talent is there. We know that. It does seem like maybe he's a little bit stylistically more like Travis Hunter than Greg Newsome. When I watch Newsome play, I feel like he's a little bit more on the physical side, and so yeah, I think you're right about moving him around too as they slowly over the next year and a half get Travis Hunter settled into a spot. You can move Greg Newsome around because he's big enough to play on the outside. He's looked fine doing it, and he's got all that experience on the inside too. So as I'm trying to piece it together there, I think that combination of things, right? Because honestly, I wouldn't want to get rid of Campbell if I'm Jacksonville. I'm 4-1. He's got the talent. He's already locked under contract. You already know what that's going to be. But I think that's it. I think it is. He hasn't been playing the greatest. This wasn't our pick anyway. This was previous regime.
Right.
He's a little bit more like Travis Hunter, so you don't necessarily need two guys like that. And then, oh, by the way, we can pull Greg Newsome in, who's a little more physical than Travis Hunter would be, and who can move around as we move Travis Hunter around. Which, what defensive coordinator doesn't like that flexibility too,
Hmm.
right? So I think I can buy that for Jacksonville's side, even though I'm still not exactly sure if that's what motivated them to do this.
Trying to make sure that we're not like super outlandish on any advanced stats for Tyson Campbell or anything like that, but I don't think
Yeah.
so, man. I mean, generally, I mean, Jacksonville's, well, let's see. Oh, what's that? That's coverage snaps. So he's played the second most coverage snaps in the NFL among qualified players. Coverage EPA. I mean, yeah, no, he's not in anywhere outlandish. Now, and here's the thing. Coverage stats are hard anyways, but you want to make sure you're
Hmm.
not like an outlier in any specific way. So,
Right.
yeah, I think ultimately, because it feels weird for Jacksonville to do this if they weren't going to pay Newsome a contract, right?
Hmm.
So let's try to map out kind of what their defensive back situation looks like without either guy, right? If
Yeah.
we just say, let's say maybe it is that. Maybe they long term don't want to pay a corner one or because long term they want Hunter to be a corner one. They tried starting the season with
Yeah.
Jerry and Jones playing outside quarter opposite Tyson Campbell. That failed. He was a slot corner last year. Um, they tried to bump him outside. It didn't work out. They paid Jordan Lewis, a veteran from Dallas, who's played basically every snap on defense so far this year.
Hmm.
And base, he's out there, but in nickel, he's playing in the slot. Travis Hunter, weeks two, three, and five, played like 20 to 30 snaps on the outside. Weeks 4 and 5, Monteric Brown, same thing, 20 to 25-ish outside snaps. Um, so Jerry and Jones essentially got benched for some combination of Hunter and Brown. So long term for Jacksonville, maybe they just see Hunter being a full-time starter at corner by year two and Monteric Brown being a full-time starter year two. But here's the thing, Monteric Brown's also a free agent after this year. So like they have to pay him. Some free agents that they have, Diami Brown is one, Brown is one, um, Travis Etienne is one, Devin Lloyd is one, just had the 99-yard pick six. So like
Yeah.
maybe this is obviously not to the same degree, but a little Dallasy. Like, hey, can we take Tyson Campbell's contract and pay three guys and then just have Hunter and Brown be our outside corners moving forward? And or, man, if Greg Newsome comes in and it's just awesome, then maybe we just found a guy that's better than Tyson Campbell. I guess I could see a world where that happens. I like Newsome. I have probably liked Newsome's consistency more and more, but I have felt like Campbell is a more prototypical outside corner, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe those guys see something. Um, I don't know I forget that new defensive coordinator's name, but he has those guys flying around. So maybe he just sees something like, and you said this, like maybe this regime just like dug back into the archives on their way in. They were like, what were our thoughts about Tyson Campbell going into the
Hmm.
draft, right? And maybe they were just a little down on him. Maybe Newsom was higher. And maybe Cleveland was the one that just called and said, hey, you have Campbell. we have Greg, like we like Greg, but we don't want to, he's gonna make more than Campbell. Like, is there interest? And they're like, we do actually like Greg a little bit more. Or maybe it's just the snap thing. I feel like as we talk, it comes down to those two schools of thought. So where would you lean? Do you think? And again, Jaguars fans, like if you're like, gosh, these guys hate Tyson Campbell. Of course they did this. Like, please just tell us, because then
Right.
that'll be a huge weight off
Maybe
our
that's
shoulders
it. Yeah.
tomorrow morning when we wake up and we're like, great, we can stop. Because I'll think about this for the next 36 hours, and I'll waste a lot of time watching every snap of these two players and try to figure out what's going on here. Um, so maybe it's that. Do you lean that? That's just like, hey, like system regime change. They just wanted a different guy, or do you think? Let's do the ESPN morning desk segment. Does this mean Travis Hunter is their next cornerback one? Like, is this a we're ready for Travis Hunter to take a bigger step on defense?
I figured the Travis Hunter thing would be
Mm,
bigger here. Not to say the other thing isn't a factor. Playing CB has gotten more complicated, right? Because of all the zone coverage that everybody's
yes.
doing and switching. It's not, even as recently as 10 years ago, teams were still playing a lot of base and
Mm-hmm.
man where you could just line up and lock down your guy or not lock down your guy. But
Yep.
that was basically, it's not that they weren't doing zones, they were, but now it's so many zones and it's switching zones from play to play.
Yes.
That's
Mm-hmm.
why we see so many miscommunications. Guys can't remember what the heck they're supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
doing because
Mm-hmm.
it's like if that running back goes that way, I get him. If he goes that way, you got him.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I'm covering, I'm jamming one receiver, but then I'm actually zoning the other
Gotta let
receiver.
him
I
go.
mean, guys can't remember. So a young guy like like Travis Hunter, who played so much man at Colorado, just basically
Right.
locked down his guy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take him a while to settle in the zone. So I figure they expect him to be able to do that, but maybe it's going to take the rest of this year for him to get comfortable doing that. So maybe he's just slot guy
Yeah.
for most of this season. And next year, I figure the Travis Hunter thing is the bigger
That
factor.
that feels more right, because this feels more like a move you make. Like, if you really liked Greg Newsome that much more, it's no secret the Browns have been trying to trade Newsome for years, right? So, like,
Yeah.
this could have happened before the season. Why does it happen 4 weeks into the year? And like you said, especially when you're playing well, so it seems unlikely. Even if they had a better draft evaluation 4 years ago on Newsome versus Campbell, like that seems a little more flimsy. It does feel a little bit more like Hunter's just been getting a bigger role. Monteric Brown has been getting a bigger role these last few weeks.
Yeah.
And so this is clearly like a future thinking organization, right? I mean, that
Yeah.
seems counterintuitive based on trading the future picks for Hunter, but like they're thinking about like their building blocks, right? And Hunter was a guy they
Hmm.
wanted to build around. And this seems like maybe more likely the way to do that. And if Newsom like works out and hits and great, and look, like Jordan Lewis is 30, like I guess I could look
Right.
up real quick if they can get out of that contract, but I think it was at least 2 years essentially guaranteed for Jordan Lewis. Um, this does feel a little bit more like this is about Hunter, but again, Brown's a free agent, so like, are they going to turn around and give him an extension in week 5 and try to get that done on like kind of small time money? I don't think so. Brown and his agent are probably sitting there like, heck yeah, man, trade corners. Let's ball out and make some money. Jordan Lewis for 2026 has a $12.8 million cap hit, and it would be a 14.5 million dead money charge if they were to cut him. So he's not going anywhere
Right.
in
Right.
2026. Best case, they're probably hoping it's Hunter and it's Brown. They solidify themselves as outside guys. We pay Brown 2/3 of what we paid Campbell, but we're a little bit younger. Um, and we let Newsom walk, and we try to get a comp pick later on down the road, or as opposed to, wow, we really like Newsom. That's what it feels a little more like. Or if Newsom's awesome and Brown doesn't work out, we'll pay the upcharge on Newsom, I guess. But that seems risky. That seems risky.
It does. Now, on the other side of that, just exploring the options, which again, this is a reaction video. The Newsom, the having Newsom on your team, it's risky from a financial standpoint, I think, because you could be paying a lot of money. You don't know what that's going to be. But if he is playing well, you get a guy who has traditionally been more consistent. You mentioned that already. A little bit more physical, but also a little bit more flexible too. He can roll inside or outside, which again,
Hmm.
forward thinking here. If next year they're not thinking Travis Hunter slot versus wide, they're
Mm,
thinking Travis Hunter offense next year, then you have Newsome who can move inside or outside depending on what you do
right.
with the other guys. So
Gosh, that's
you
even
still have that
messier.
flexibility. Yeah, yeah.
Looking at the financials, like just to give everybody an idea of what Newsom might be looking for in free agency, Tyson Campbell is getting $19.1 million average annual value. He's the 12th
Hmm.
highest paid corner by AAV. But here are the names above him, and you tell me if you think Greg Newsom is going to go under any of these numbers based on the fact that he's playing outside corner and just got traded for. Trayvon Diggs, Marshawn Lattimore, Marlon Humphrey, Denzel Ward. 20.1 for Denzel Ward. Like that's probably the cap, right? Because then it's like AJ Terrell, Deron Bland, who you have to trade Micah Parsons in order to, because you got to pay Deron Bland. But then Pat Surtain, Jalen Ramsey, JC Horn, Stingley, Gardner, all those guys that just got contracts. So you're
Right.
looking at like maybe 20 million
Hmm.
for Newsom, which I guess like if Campbell was 19 and Newsom,
Yeah.
you end up, if you're like worst case scenario, we pay Greg Newsom 4 for 80, 5 for 100 at 20
Yeah.
million a year,
Right.
and it costs us a little. It's a slight upcharge, but best case scenario, we're paying Monteric Brown like I don't know, Zion McCollum money, 16 mil, Christian
Hmm.
Benford money, 17 mil. But again, that's only saving you like 1, 2 million bucks. So
Right.
as we go down that rabbit hole, our fourth rabbit hole, since we've gotten on the Zoom call here, I'm like maybe they do just like Newsom, and you're saying it, the physicality, the flexibility.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a little. Maybe they're seeing some of the holes in the way they want to play the defense and the way Campbell plays defense. I am going to end up watching the film on Campbell and just seeing what it because right now their identity is like fly around, be physical, mix it up.
Yeah.
And Newsom does
Yeah.
that. I can't sit here and tell you if Campbell could do it. I know he's like a big outside corner and can cover and is athletic.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if that means he isn't doing those things the way they want versus the way Newsom would do it. I'll have to go and check the film one more time. Let's get back to Cleveland. Any parting thoughts on Cleveland, or is this just purely like cap controlled? They don't want to pay. I mean, again, we just went through it though. Like, is Newsom going to get more than 20 million versus Campbell's getting 19? Like, is it truly
I
just that? Is it, or could that be something else going on too?
I feel well. Okay, Newsom's been on the trading block for what we said 2 or 3 years,
Hmm.
right? So I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland didn't call Jacksonville and say, "Hey, you want to
Yeah.
make the swap?" You mentioned that already. It does feel like cap control for Cleveland. We've talked about what a mess it's going to be for the
Hmm.
next year, maybe two, but at least for the next year. So with the Campbell contract for the next this year and next year, it is a low number. You mentioned that. It's not 19, it's like down at
True.
the
Yeah.
12, 13 mark.
Guaranteed next year is 13. So that's
Yeah.
true for next year specifically.
So you can squeeze that in instead of trying to just let Newsom walk. At least you've swapped out, and it's not until the
That's true.
following year, 27, when
Right.
Campbell's number jumps up to like 24.
Yep.
So maybe they just like that breathing room for next year,
That's true.
knowing
That's a
they
great
couldn't
point.
afford Newsom. For Cleveland, I joked earlier that it didn't matter, but it did make sense for Cleveland to do it on the financial side, I think.
That and yeah, that's a great point. If we're just thinking about 2026, because a lot of times with these trades, it really is just financially speaking about the very next season, because then you can rework the contract since you weren't the team
Yeah.
that gave the contract. So if next year we're talking about for both sides, it's even riskier when you think about what Jacksonville might be doing here. If you're talking about 20 for Newsom, and in 2026 you're also talking about okay, AAV 20, but a lot of the signing bonus proration, the cap hit for the signing bonus and the cash you have to send out impacts
Hmm.
that first year pretty heavily. So let's say it's
Right.
like 22, 23 million coming out next year versus 13. That's a big deal for Cleveland, so I'm pretty secure with you that it's probably financial for Cleveland. That was kind of where we started. In Jacksonville, again,
Yeah.
it's that risk reward, but I think we'll know based on where Newsom ends up playing throughout the year. And if he just kind of takes over Campbell's snaps as like full-time wide receiver one, and Brown
Hmm.
and Hunter are kind of just like rotating, versus do all three of those guys rotate, and even with Jordan Lewis, like they're all kind of getting snaps a little bit everywhere,
Right.
then we kind
Right.
of know they're looking for the young guys to kind of take over for 2026.
Hmm.
Um, all right, we didn't make up the 11:20 p.m. soft deadline of 16 minutes, but I think this was about 22 minutes, which I will take. Everybody, this has been the Box Score Network YouTube channel. What did we say we were going to call this? The press box? Something like that. The pressing
Yeah.
box because it's breaking news. I don't know.
No.
Something crazy. Me and Ben just reacting to stuff and 11:30 at night before we record another podcast. That's totally normal. Box Score Network YouTube channel. Thank you all for being here, checking out this video. Please comment, Jags fans, Browns fans, let us know what you think. NFL fans, let us know what you think. Um, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Make sure you're here every week. We have waiver wire pickups, by the way. If you're just kind of tuning into this because you're seeing this video and seeing a reaction, come back every single Tuesday because we have waiver wire pickup recommendations from Peyton and Parker, two Bs on the pod, and then various other stuff from our podcast is on this channel as well. Thank you all so much. Thank you to Ben, and we will talk to you next time. Have a good one.